Have you ever found yourself sitting at a family gathering, biting your tongue as your adult children discuss your future, as if you weren't even in the room? Or perhaps you've noticed how quickly their expressions change when you share certain thoughts or concerns about your life? You're not alone. As we journey into our golden years, the dynamic with our loved ones often shifts in ways we never anticipated. Hello there, and welcome to today's video. I'm going to talk about something that might feel a bit uncomfortable at first, but I promise it comes from a place of understanding and compassion. Today we're discussing 5 dark truths that many of us over 65 have discovered. Truths that sometimes, for the sake of family harmony, might be better kept to ourselves. Now, I'm not suggesting we should be dishonest with our families. Rather, I'm acknowledging that wisdom sometimes means knowing when to share and when to hold back. After 6 decades of life experience, we've earned the right to maintain some privacy, especially when sharing certain realities might create unnecessary worry or tension. The first dark truth many of us face is that we sometimes feel invisible in our own families. Remember when our opinions were sought after, when our wisdom was valued above all else? As we age, there's often a subtle shift where our adult children begin to treat us more like children than the capable adults we still are. They mean well, of course. They're concerned about our well-being, but that doesn't make it any less frustrating when we're excluded from decisions about our own lives. Instead of confronting this head-on, which often leads to defensive reactions, I've found it more effective to strategically assert independence in smaller ways. Rather than announcing, "Stop treating me like a child," try demonstrating your capability through actions. Make decisions confidently, stay informed about current events, and maintain interests outside the family circle. This quiet competence often speaks louder than any confrontation. If you're enjoying these insights and want more practical wisdom for navigating your golden years with grace and dignity, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. I share new videos every week filled with honest conversations about the joys and challenges of this season of life. The second truth that often creates tension is our changing relationship with possessions. Many of us have spent decades accumulating belongings that hold deep meaning for us, but might look like mere clutter to our children. That antique chair might seem worn and outdated to them, but for us, it holds memories of rocking our babies to sleep. That collection of trinkets might seem pointless to them, but each item tells a story from our journey. I've discovered that expressing anxiety about family members disposing of our treasured possessions after we're gone often creates immediate defensiveness or uncomfortable reassurances. Instead, I've found it more effective to quietly document the stories behind important items. A simple notebook with photos and brief descriptions of why certain things matter preserves their significance without creating current tension. Some folks even choose to gradually gift special items while they're still alive, sharing the stories and seeing loved ones appreciate them now. What I've learned is that maintaining peace sometimes means choosing our battles wisely. Not every thought needs to be expressed, not every concern needs to be shared immediately. There's a delicate balance between honesty and discretion, especially when it comes to family relationships. As we continue exploring these truths, remember that protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's necessary for your well-being and the health of your relationships. Sometimes maintaining harmony requires a bit of thoughtful filtering, and that's perfectly okay. The third truth that many of us discover after 65 is that our financial worries often increase rather than decrease, despite what our children might assume. There's this common belief that once we retire, financial stress should disappear. After all, the kids are grown, the mortgage might be paid off, and we've had decades to save, right? But the reality for many of us is quite different. Between rising healthcare costs, inflation eating away at fixed incomes, and the uncertainty of how long our savings need to last, many of us lie awake at night wondering if we'll have enough. Add to that the desire to leave something for our children or grandchildren, and the financial pressure can feel overwhelming. I've noticed that sharing these money worries with adult children often triggers one of 2 unhelpful responses. Either they become overly concerned and start trying to manage our finances for us, or they dismiss our concerns because they assume we must be financially secure by now. Neither response acknowledges our legitimate feelings or preserves our dignity. Instead of burdening family members with these concerns, I've found it more helpful to seek out peers who understand or consult with financial professionals who specialize in retirement planning. Sometimes just having a knowledgeable, objective person review your situation can provide reassurance or practical solutions that family members simply aren't equipped to offer. The fourth dark truth is perhaps the most difficult to keep to ourselves, yet often the most necessary for family peace: our fears about dependency and end-of-life decisions. None of us wants to imagine a time when we might need significant help with daily activities or face difficult medical choices. Yet these thoughts naturally arise as we age, especially if we've witnessed friends or siblings facing these challenges. When we bring up these concerns with our children, our preferences about care options, our thoughts about quality of life versus longevity, our wishes regarding extraordinary measures, the conversation often becomes emotionally charged. Our kids might change the subject, assure us we're still young, or become visibly upset at the thought of our mortality. I've learned that instead of having these discussions in casual family settings, it's often better to address these matters more formally. Setting up proper legal documents like advance directives and powers of attorney with the help of an attorney creates the appropriate context for these serious topics. You can also write letters to be opened in specific circumstances, sharing your thoughts and wishes in a way that gives family members time to process them privately. Before I share the fifth and final truth, I want to take a moment to thank you for joining me in this honest conversation. If you're finding value in these insights, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps me continue creating content that addresses the real challenges we face in this season of life. The challenges that aren't always comfortable to discuss, but that we all need to navigate. What I've discovered in my own journey is that these dark truths aren't really dark at all. They're simply the natural realities of aging in a society that often struggles to acknowledge them. By finding constructive ways to manage these truths without unnecessarily burdening our loved ones, we're not being secretive or dishonest. We're being wise, compassionate, and considerate of the complex emotional dynamics within our families. As we prepare to explore the fifth and perhaps most significant truth, I invite you to reflect on your own experience. Have you found yourself holding back certain thoughts or concerns to maintain family harmony? How have you navigated these delicate waters in your own relationships? Remember, there's no single right approach. What matters is finding a balance that honors both your needs and the relationships you cherish. The fifth truth, and perhaps the one that catches many of us most by surprise, is the reality of continuing emotional growth and change, even in our later years. Society often portrays aging as a gradual decline or a static period where we're set in our ways, content to reminisce about the past rather than engage with the present or look toward the future. Our families, too, may have fixed images of who we are, shaped by decades of patterns and shared history. But here's what many of us discover after 65. We're still evolving. We still experience new desires, develop new perspectives, and sometimes find ourselves questioning long-held beliefs or reconsidering paths not taken. We might discover new passions, reconsider old relationships, or find ourselves drawn to experiences that would have held no appeal in our younger years. I've found that sharing these internal shifts can sometimes unsettle family members who find comfort in seeing us as unchanging anchors. Adult children, particularly, often need to see their parents as consistent and predictable figures. When we express changing views or new desires that don't align with their image of us, it can create unexpected tension or concern. Rather than announcing every internal shift or questioning every long-standing family tradition, I've learned the value of making small, gradual changes that give everyone time to adjust. Whether it's exploring new interests, adjusting holiday traditions, or reconsidering long-standing commitments, introducing change slowly often meets with less resistance than dramatic announcements or sudden departures from expected patterns. What all five of these truths share is a common theme: the challenge of maintaining our authentic selves while preserving family harmony. It's a balancing act that requires wisdom, patience, and sometimes strategic silence. Not because we're being deceptive, but because we understand that relationships are complex and that timing and context matter when sharing difficult truths. I've found that having trusted friends my own age has been invaluable for navigating these waters. There's something deeply affirming about sharing these dark truths with peers who immediately nod in recognition, who understand without explanation the unique challenges of this stage of life. These friendships provide safe spaces to voice the thoughts we might choose to keep from family members, not out of dishonesty, but out of love and a desire to protect both them and ourselves from unnecessary pain. Some of you might be wondering if keeping these truths to ourselves is really the right approach. Shouldn't families be places of complete honesty? In an ideal world, perhaps. But real relationships are messier than ideals. Sometimes complete transparency serves neither us nor our loved ones. The art of aging gracefully includes knowing when to speak and when to remain silent, when to assert and when to accommodate. That doesn't mean never addressing these issues. For some families, direct conversations about these matters strengthen bonds rather than straining them. You know your family best. The suggestion to keep certain truths private isn't a one-size-fits-all prescription, but rather an acknowledgement that peace sometimes requires discretion. What matters most is finding ways to honor both your authentic experience and the relationships you value. Sometimes that means creating boundaries, seeking support outside the family, or finding alternative ways to address concerns without creating undue worry or conflict. As we wrap up today's conversation, I want to leave you with this thought. There is profound dignity in navigating these waters with grace, in finding the wisdom to discern when to share and when to withhold, not out of fear, but out of compassion, both for ourselves and for those we love. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If you found value in our conversation, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Share it with friends who might benefit from knowing they're not alone in facing these challenges. Remember, we're in this journey together, and there's strength in sharing our experiences, even the ones that aren't always easy to discuss. Until next time, be gentle with yourself and those you love. Here's to finding peace and authenticity in every stage of this beautiful, complex journey we call life.